What's up, the squad? Back with another video. I seen that title was going down. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it right here. Judge sides with President Trump, allowing ICE to continue operations in Minnesota. This is great news, y'all. Definitely great news when it comes down to it. Definitely. Guy right here says Tim Walz and Mayor Frey could end up in prison for sparking an insurrection against the federal government. Mike Davis also called for the Insurrection Act to be invoked. Check it out right here, y'all.
Frey, who think that they can, by force, resist these immigration efforts. That is textbook insurrection. That is textbook seditious conspiracy. Those are very serious federal felonies, along with assaults on law enforcement, along with harboring illegal aliens, along with conspiracy. Generally, I would say to Governor Walz and Mayor Frey, you're playing a very deadly game here, and you could end up in federal prison if you do this. In addition, the president can and should invoke the Insurrection Act, which is passed by Congress to allow the president to federalize the Minnesota National Guard to assist federal law enforcement in executing federal immigration laws and to put down this insurrection.
And in fact, it has led to bloodshed. 2 individuals emerged from an apartment last night, seemingly taking up Frey and Walz on their invitation and interfering in an ICE arrest, joining an assault against an ICE officer. But I'm going to return to that question, Mike. Let's say President Trump does invoke the Insurrection Act. What then? How does that unfold in Minnesota?
Well, then President Trump could send in the active duty military forces into Minnesota, into Minneapolis, to put down the rebellion, to put down the insurrection. He could also federalize the Minnesota National Guard. Well, the National Guard would be under federal control, under the president's control, and not under Governor Tim Walz's control. And I would say this, if these Democrat politicians, you're hearing that they want to arrest ICE agents around the country when these ICE agents are executing federal immigration laws, that could lead to deadly force being used.
One thing about it, what they're doing, and what I've noticed and what everybody else has noticed, is that they're wanting more chaos. They're wanting more chaos, to blame President Trump. One thing that I was telling Retro Steph, if y'all don't know Retro Steph, make sure y'all go check them out, please. What I told Retro Steph is, and this is, I'm not making up no excuses. I'm not, none of that. I'm not even gonna go there. The thing is, y'all, that people aren't getting, what people aren't truly getting, is the simple fact, however you put it, when you hear somebody say, oh, yeah, I support Trump, I support the right, they're focused. They see what's going on. Even if they're not watching all of it, they're watching some of it. When you have, and this is true. I know for a fact. I gotta know because I have family members. I have family members that are Democrats. So what I see is that you have these individuals that truly look and see like, okay, well, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at that. Oh, I'm voting for this individual, and I don't like President Trump because I'm this. I'm a Democrat, and my parents Democrats, and I don't like President Trump, and this, that, and other. Those people aren't, paying attention at a lot that's going on. They're not looking at, they're not actually seeing what's going on. They're seeing posts from individuals that's in denial, posts that's from so when you have all those people that aren't paying attention, that's the sad thing about it. You have too many people, that aren't paying attention and seeing what's actually truly going on. You literally have Tim Walz and Mayor Frey that are truly not caring and wanting more and more and more violence. And it's truly sickening on what they're doing. It's truly sickening. They don't care. They want that, to put that blame on President Trump. They want that blame. I'm telling y'all. It's truly sickening. It's the White House response to Tim Walz's direct appeal this appeal, and I show it right here, says, and it's signed by Tim Walz, says, I am making a direct appeal to the president. Let's turn the temperature down. Stop this campaign, retribution. This is not who we are. And an appeal to Minnesotans. I know this is scary. We must speak out loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. We cannot fan the flames of the chaos that he wants. So now again, this is going, and they're using this to point at President Trump. They're using this to point at President Trump. But you literally have, we need to speak out loudly, urgently, but also peaceful. So let's do this and do that. And I'm about to have, y'all need to do this, but also let's, in a way, sometimes let's be peaceful. Is what I'm getting out of this. And it's truly sickening that he's doing this. Check it out right here.
The White House has now responded. Tim Walz, Jacob Frey, and Democrat leaders in Minnesota have done nothing but turn up the temperature, smear heroic ICE officers, and incite violence against them, all in the defense of criminal illegal aliens. In Minnesota, ICE has arrested rapists, drug traffickers, domestic abusers, and more, despite the Democratic opposition. The Trump administration will protect the American people and enforce the law without apology. Quick response, a lot to say. Your reaction. First reaction here on the Faulkner Focus, Clay Travis.
They're 100% right. And Harris, you remember this. In 2020, when we demonized police, what happened? Murder skyrocketed across the entire country, and we didn't let good law enforcement officers do their job. Now Minnesota, Frey, Walz, they are deciding to demonize ICE officers. They're making them targets, and they are going to increase the overall level of violence in this country. I think President Trump has to step up aggressively, say we're not going to do this. Remember what happened in L.A.? He sent in all the forces, and everything stopped in L.A. We got to do it in Minneapolis, too. It's out of control.
Definitely out of control. I'll tell you that. Definitely very much so out of control. And it's definitely sickening that these individuals are acting and doing this. I'm telling y'all. Check it out.
I want to share another way you can help. Witness. Help us establish a record of exactly what's happening in our communities. You have an absolute right to peacefully film ICE agents as they conduct these activities. So carry your phone with you at all times. And if you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record. Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans, not just to establish a record for posterity, but to bank evidence for future prosecution.
They're using this, again, to cover up the fraud and the things that's going on with them. I feel like they think the whole situation, and it's as sad as I have to say this, and it's truly sad that they have to use her, but to use that, use Renee, use the ICE agent as, a sense of their cover, knowing that it's not obviously going to help, but they're trying to use that. They're trying to get everybody on their side from the things that they've actually caused. That's why he's acting like this. That's why he's doing this. Literally, instead of telling these individuals to stay out the way. Things we don't, for your safety, for these officers' safety, be an adult about the situation. But no, they're in the neighborhood, take out the phone and hit record. People are taking out their phones and hitting record and doing the most. That's the thing. And it's truly sickening that, Tim Walz and Frey are doing this. Truly. Check it out here. This is Christi Noem revealing shocking new details about an ambush on the ICE officer that led to, shooting.
Well, our agents were out doing what they're doing every single day across this country, as they were doing targeted enforcement, going after individuals that are breaking federal law. When this individual drove away, crashed his car, tried to run into a home, and as they were wrestling on the ground trying to detain this individual, two other men came out of that building and started attacking him with weapons and shovels and brooms. And as it was 3-on-1, the agent feared for his life and defensively had to take action. But this kind of violence is perpetuated by what we hear the governor saying, what we hear the mayor in Minneapolis saying, and their irresponsibility is extremely reckless. Governor Tim Walz has my phone number. I have called him and talked to him and said, listen, you let your city burn down in 2020. Don't do it again. President Trump wants to keep everybody safe. We're enforcing federal law. We're protecting every single American. Work with us. I want to remind you that Minneapolis itself, under the mayor's leadership and the governor's leadership, released almost 500 criminals out onto the streets rather than bring them to justice and turn them over to federal authorities. So they know they're releasing murderers and rapists and drug traffickers on the streets of Minneapolis. We're out there making sure they don't harm American citizens, and we're getting attacked while we do it. But we're going to continue to do our work and do what's right because it's what President Trump promised the American people.
And I'm here for it. Tell you, I'm here for it. Truly sad, that they're doing this. And what's even more sad is that people are out there literally causing all this chaos and point the finger. Like, y'all are out here doing this. Y'all are literally causing all this destruction, and then you go and point the finger. That's wild to me. It's truly, truly wild to me. And I do not see, I truly don't see how they think this is something that's just okay. Truly. One thing about it, you have here, and this is from, y'all can find this at ICE gov, so y'all can go and check this out if y'all want to, but check it out right here.
Is that a lot of the people that ICE is picking up right now in our city are not a problem for Minneapolis.
You want to respond to that?
It sounds like the mayor wants to work with ICE, and he, is appreciative of what we would do, but he's not doing that. We are going out up to the worst of the worst, and we've already highlighted what some of our worst of the worst have we released. And there were rapists, murderers, like he said, that were re-released back into the community because of sanctuary policies. So that isn't working with ICE, and that's not putting the best interest of your constituents and your communities ahead of political ideology.
Exactly. And before I start talking, this is more from ICE director. Says the director of ICE says that, it's total anarchy in Minneapolis. Mayor Jacob Frey and Tim Walz are actively inciting violence. They should resign and be arrested for the things they're doing. They're throwing fireworks, breaking into vehicles, putting their hands on ICE agents. They keep increasing the rhetoric. That's how, you keep seeing this night after night. And it's truly sad. It's truly sickening that, you have these individuals that are doing this, and allowing this, I truly don't get it. I truly don't get it.
It was a federal vehicle. But just to the point, that is not peaceful protesting. That's not what the governor, that's not what the mayor is calling for. That's anarchy, plain and simple. That's impediment. And unfortunately, that's what ICE agents are encountering every day. What we really need is elected officials to say, you can peacefully protest, but not like that. Not throwing fireworks, not breaking into vehicles, not putting your hands on ICE agents. But instead, they just keep increasing the rhetoric. And that's why you keep seeing this night after night, what the men and women of ICE and our other federal partners and to effect local law enforcement are encountering daily.
Do you want the Insurrection Act employed here? Do your folks need it? Is that what you're asking President Trump to do?
Martha, we're not going to get ahead of the president, but I will tell you, as Secretary Noem's given us all our law enforcement tools at her disposal to go ahead. It was a federal vehicle.
Me personally, they need to apply the pressure a little bit harder than what they're doing. And I say that because things have gotten so bad. I've been seeing multiple videos that I can't even show on here. But things are truly, truly bad. Truly bad. This is Minneapolis Mayor. Just listen to what he says, y'all. It's all right here.
That is taking the bait tonight, stop. That is not helpful. Go home. We cannot counter Donald Trump's chaos with our own brand of chaos. And I have seen thousands of people throughout our city peacefully protesting. For those that have peacefully protested, I applaud you. For those that are taking the bait, you are not helping, and you are not helping the undocumented immigrants in our city. You are not helping the people that call this place home. And
So you have these individuals that are doing a lot in Minnesota, in Minnesota. causing all this destruction. And he says, oh, don't take the bait. This is what they want you to do. These are things that they're causing. Not to mention, these people are so-called getting paid, getting bussed to be there. A lot of these, from my understanding, a lot of these people that's out there protesting, there aren't Minnesotans. Probably some, but a lot of these individuals are bussed in. A lot of these people are paid. They're saying paid actors. This is insane, y'all. I'm not gonna lie.
So the question was, there has been the accusation that local officials have perhaps taken up the temperature in Minneapolis. First, I'll say, show me a single place where I have encouraged anything other than peace.
And y'all truly seen so many. Let me look up right quick. This dude don't do nothing but tell lies. I wish I had that video put out. Let me see right here. Here you go. Here you go.
Level of chaos and concern and the tragedy that happened, sadly, was entirely predictable. In fact, we predicted it. The chief of police and I were talking, not just that the kind of...
This the him explaining because he told ICE agents to get the F out, right? Let's see right here.
Stand by our statements. I'll look back to what I said. What I said was it was reckless abuse of power. Yes, it was a reckless abuse of power. I said that what the narrative that the administration was pushing in the immediacy following this shooting was garbage and false and BS. It was.
So basically what he said, you know, and again, another video of him apologizing, of him saying the F-bomb, inciting violence toward the officers, telling people to push back on them. So when he says to show a video, there's multiple videos on here. Even right here.
Whom you have praised, you've called them heroes for being out there exercising their First Amendment rights, but they've gone farther. They're blocking the ICE operations.
We had
They're
thousands
take a
of
look at some of the. Watch this.
So, do you want?
Of it, you're seeing it in real time. You are aware that 18 U.S. Code 111 makes it a federal crime to impede, interfere, or even assault officers. And we see the protesters crossing a line of protesting, interfering in immigration law enforcement.
Perhaps tens of thousands of people peacefully protesting in the streets. And at the same time, yeah, they are going to stand up for their neighbors. And
they are going to stand up for the neighbor. He's literally saying, I ain't got to show y'all no more. Y'all get what I was trying to do. Y'all get what I was trying to do. You literally have it right here, y'all, how bad things are. These are all the pics, y'all. Hold on, let me go back. These are all the pics. I'm telling y'all. This from at IceGov, so y'all can go check this out. Peaceful protests do not result in the destruction of federal vehicles and theft of federal property. These are what the rioters are doing, what I just showed y'all. Sickening. Very, very sickening. But you always have good news. Tom Homan just confirmed the DOJ, FBI, and HSI are actively investigating coordinated left-wing extremist groups. Accountability is coming. Check it out right here.
I just left the meeting about 20 minutes ago here at the White House. I can't say a lot, but let me say this. Okay. We are aware of this coordinated effort. We are aware that this is being financed. We are aware that there are actual groups, well coordinated, to attack the men and women of ICE and to try to prevent them from doing their jobs. Accountability is coming because we're working very closely with DOJ, the FBI, HSI. We're doing a deep dive into this. We'll follow the money. We'll follow these groups. We'll investigate these groups. Justice has come to these people.
And I can't wait. One thing about it, and I keep on saying it, it is very much so time to get things handled and things done. That's all I gotta say. It's very much so time to get things handled and things done. And they have to push harder. They have to push harder on a lot of this because it's truly sickening and sad that these individuals are doing it. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate y'all. Much love to every single last one of y'all. Catch y'all next one.